Hey everybody, it's Jenna. I had to hop on and talk about the latest, and definitely most surprising in recent memory, piece of DC Studios news. On Monday, the trades reported that Colin Farrell is in talks to star in Luca Guadagnino's upcoming Sergeant Rock movie. The reports do stress that he's in talks and not confirmed, as there could be potential scheduling conflicts with Sergeant Rock's summer production timeline and the premieres of his next two films. Again, this is not a confirmation, and there were already reports of Daniel Craig eyeing the role, which DC Studios' James Gunn and Peter Safran ultimately debunked. If Colin does end up becoming official, I have so many thoughts about it. If you want to know more about the comic history of Sergeant Rock, I already have an in-depth video about him from when the movie was first announced, but I will give you the cliff notes. Formerly created by Robert Kanigher and Joe Kubert in 1959's Our Army at War number 83, Sergeant Frank Rock serves as the leader of the Easy Company, a fictional battalion that goes on missions both harrowing and fantastical during World War II. He has consistently remained DC's premier wartime character, with his initial solo series running for over a decade and over 400 issues. Some stories have attempted to modernize him into the superhero landscape of the DCU as a politician or a government agent, while others have turned him into the stuff of legend, with him dying by the last enemy bullet fired in World War II. He was most recently the focus of Sergeant Rock vs. the Army of the Dead, which was written by actor Bruce Campbell and saw him fighting hordes of Nazi zombies. He already canonically exists in the DCU, being voiced by Maury Sterling in the GI Robot flashback episode of Season 1 of Creature Commandos. As the casting rumors around Sergeant Rock have ebbed and flowed, I have been very curious to see what kind of leading man the movie ultimately lands on. Frank has a sort of ageless, timeless quality to him, and the film is essentially in its own unexplored pocket of DCU canon, so the casting could have ranged from a younger, to use Twitter's favorite term, white boy of the month, to an existing household name. Honestly, I think Colin is an inspired choice within those two extremes. He absolutely is a recognizable actor, but he's very rarely been defined in our pop culture by a single role. I'll get to the penguin of it all in a minute. He has all of the movie star qualities needed to embody the grizzled archetype of masculinity that Rock is known as in the comics, but he can still bring the nuance to however Luca decides to subvert those expectations in the movie. And I haven't watched Apple TV Plus's Sugar yet, but based on the clips that I've seen, he can do a great, gruff American accent.
I don't like hurting people, but maybe I've been here too long.
And for everyone being worried or confused given Colin's existing role as the Penguin, I think this would be a rare instance of the stars aligning for him to play both. First off, this isn't the first time that Colin has jumped from one comic book role to another. Despite the overwhelming critical and cultural success of Season 1 of The Penguin, it still sounds like DC Studios isn't forcing a Season 2, and The Batman Part 2 is still a ways away, with Colin himself indicating that he would only be reprising his role in a handful of scenes. So it makes sense to make a lateral move of finding another new way for DC Studios to collaborate with him. Something that has been done time and time again throughout film history, but gets treated online like it's some sort of cardinal sin today. I still remember being in the trenches of people thinking that an actor couldn't jump from DC to Marvel or vice versa, or creating extensive fan theories for how the same actor could play two separate characters in the same franchise. There is a way to cleverly do it, and Colin being brought on to play both Oz and Sergeant Rock feels like one of those rare instances. In a way, it doesn't even feel like pigeonholing him when the two characters are so fundamentally different from each other. Not just in their physicality, because my brain honestly still has trouble processing that that's Colin underneath the accent and the mannerisms and the beautifully made prosthetics for Oz. But their arcs and significance in their respective universes are so different too. One is an underestimated, opinionated man who is hoping to gain power as a mob boss in a violent and messed up world. And another is a no-nonsense portrait of white male masculinity, who is defined by both his work in a seemingly endless war and the relationships he has with his fellow soldiers. If you stripped away the DC branding from both of those projects, that would just sound like the beats of the filmography of a legendary actor. That level of variety across both DC Studios and Elseworld projects is what has felt so special about this new DC Studios era so far, and it only feels like a further testament to the quality of Sergeant Rock's script that Colin is circling the project to begin with. After all, as he said in his Hot Ones interview a couple of years ago,
one for them, one for me. It's all for me, but sometimes I get spoiled where I really feel connected to the material. It means a lot to me.
Again, who knows if this casting will actually become official, but I would definitely be happy if it did. I just hope we get my boy in live action. How do you feel about Colin Farrell potentially playing Sergeant Rock? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends if you haven't already done so. Merch is available at the link in the description. As always, you can find me on social media at Hey It's Jenna Lynn. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, go read some comics.